Friday, everybody. Thank you, Emilio, for your generosity there, kicking off the stream. And as you can see, it makes people very happy when they get a gifted membership. Boy Wonder found out that he got gifted a membership. I've got my water. I'm very excited. When I did my breakdown of the Superman trailer, somebody was disappointed that it wasn't a live breakdown so that people could ask questions. Thank you, Lisa. Happy New Year. And so I said, it would be nice to be able to talk DC a little bit. So I thought, let's do it in a live stream. Oh, wow, Blix. That's so generous of you. My goodness. Look at everybody making it rain. BTT members are not only generous, but quite kind. You guys are great. That's right, Nathan. It's my first live stream of 2025. Will this be DC's year? I have to say that even though I wasn't captivated by the Superman trailer, I am a little excited about how well it did. And, thanks. I'm glad you like the hair, Wanda's attorney. I was at the hair salon on New Year's Eve during the day. Thank you, Jesus. But, and I got to say, this looks pretty nice. Doesn't it? When I put the graphics together for this, I was like, you know what? It looks pretty good. It's nice to have a different comic book universe to talk about outside of Marvel. And you know what? It would be great if James Gunn maybe could pull this off. I think that would be really nice. I think it's a little bit of a mess already. But I think, at least we'll have a good time. I don't know if it's going to be any different, but the DC train chugs along. So I did write down all the projects so you would have something for reference as to what we're talking about. I do have an arrow. There we go, baby. All right, so upcoming DC Studio projects. These are the ones that have been dated. Creature Commandos is currently airing. Superman, of course, very, very scant. We were like, here we go. One freaking movie. And Peacemaker. It's going to be a very James Gunn 2025. I hope it works out for him better than Patty Jenkins. So Superman in July, then Peacemaker right after in August. And then 2026, you have Supergirl and Clayface. That seems like a weak year to me. And then the Batman Part 2 all the way in 2027 at this point. I said when they dated Clayface that the Batman probably was going to move, and that ended up definitely being the case. In development for shows, Lanterns. Lanterns is moving ahead very quickly, but it doesn't have a release date yet, so I couldn't put it in the confirmed projects. Hey, Christopher. But I am very excited for Lanterns. In fact, Lanterns is the project from DC that I'm the most excited about. It just looks really good to me. Apparently, we're still maybe getting a Waller, a Paradise Lost, and a Booster Gold show. I'll believe it when I see it. Nacho, I didn't put Teen Titans in there because, this isn't like a pie in the sky list. This is a list of, I think things that have some kind of, maybe they're going to work out. And Clayface came out of nowhere, by the way. Out of nowhere! And look at like Brave and the Bold, The Authority, and Swamp Thing. Still waiting. Clayface just jumped right over them to get a release date that's actually fairly soon. I guess because Mike Flanagan said he could make it for peanuts for $40 million. But yeah, so these are the projects. I wanted you to see them. I'll put the arrow over here. And you guys are leading the conversation on this. This is an Ask Me Anything. We'll talk for about 45 minutes or so. Please keep your questions and comments to DC. Yeah, that's right, Wanda's attorney. Harley Quinn Season 5. I watched it. I got all 10 episodes in advance. I'm not allowed to talk about it until the 13th, but I did watch Harley Quinn. So let's see here. There are some good questions here already. CM says, do you think James Mangold will do Swamp Thing or Star Wars first? Oh, how about neither, Alex? Can I take neither for 500? I think both projects are going to take a really long time to get going. Let's see here. Hamish, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, says, if you were James Gunn and dealt the same deck of cards he was when he took over, including unreleased films, what difference would you have made with your business hat on? Well, I've been pretty clear about this from day one. Clean break. I would have wiped the slate clean and I would have started from zero. I think cherry picking what's going to continue and what isn't, again, makes it seem not that this is, I said it's a restart instead of a fresh start. It still seems like exactly the same universe that we were dealing with before. And I think I think it just keeps it from, well, let's see. We'll see how Superman performs. That's going to really set the tone and the pace for, what James Gunn's going to be able to accomplish. The movie nerd trying to get me to watch, what is that, Young Justice? I've watched a lot of Young Justice. I've already seen the Miss Martian episodes, not to discourage you from gifting memberships, but I have seen the Miss Martian episodes early on. Dolly Parton. Oh, hey, Dolly Parton. Is most interested in Clayface. I hope Clayface is good. I'm nervous about it, but I think, potentially. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I didn't put Dynamic Duo on here. Ugh. Dynamic Duo is that animated Robins movie. That comes out like in a ridiculously long time, though. That comes out in spring 2028. I feel like Maleficent telling Prince Philip when he's going to go and see Aurora. Hey, Sahib, thank you very much. And you can see, all your favorite characters in the year 2028. You're like, what? Chris, I'm glad you're excited about Injustice 3. I'm pretty excited about it as well. I think we could use some DC goodness from wherever we can get it. And I think that it's been too long since Injustice. Those trailers are always so fun and they have such great action sequences. Dakota says, do you think the lineup could change? Well, that's become the problem with announcing things, even for Marvel. Back in the day when they announced things and teased things, they actually happened. But now we're at a space where you're like, I don't know, maybe, I think that's very frustrating. And I think, they should dial back on the announcements if they can't deliver on them. Hey, Duncan, in the Netherlands. Let's see here. Jake says, any idea what the thinking was behind using the same cinematographer as The Flash for the new Superman movie? That's a great point. It just cinematically feels very similar. James Gunn liked the Flash movie, as did I. So when he hired that dude, he had no idea the Flash movie was going to blow up in everyone's face like that, in James Gunn's defense. But that's what happens when, you don't have a fresh start. I think that it doesn't seem like it's new. It just seems like more of the same. And either you're down for that or you're not. Movies TV Review says, do you think that Zoe Kravitz is going to appear as Catwoman in the Batman Part 2? I'd like her to. I really thought, I thought she was a wonderful Catwoman, and I think, let's develop these characters. And I'd hate it to be a situation where they, Mission Impossible got in trouble for this, where they always just swap out the female characters, but all the male characters stick around from movie to movie. Austin says Boyd Holbrook would be a cool Swamp Thing. I gotta tell you, I'm not feeling a Swamp Thing movie. I talked to you about Beefcake. It's hard to have Beefcake under a ton of weeds. I just don't know if I think that, I think it would be almost impossible for me to convince someone who is not into comics to go see Swamp Thing. You're like, I swear to you, it's the most interesting vegetable you'll ever meet. And I'm like, unless Poison Ivy's in it, unless they do a movie about the Green, I just think that's just such a hard sell, I think it's nice that James Gunn is championing the people at the back of the comic book store, but they aren't enough to support a comic book, much less a movie or a TV show. Let's see here. But I always advocate for more work for Mr. Boyd Holbrook. I'm a big fan of his. Mr. Orion says, do you think Paradise Lost is a good idea, or you just want to have a new Wonder Woman project? Yeah, I don't think it's a good, unless Wonder Woman is part of the show. I believe they said that she wouldn't, but I think it's silly because I'm just interested in seeing the characters. I don't want a situation where it takes not hundreds of years, but tens of years to see these characters that we're excited about. That's the problem when they have these dance cards that are too full, Marvel included. You're like, for instance, how long have we been waiting for the X-Men? We're still waiting to a large degree. Isaiah says, hi, Grace. Why doesn't Batman's cameo in Creature Commandos debunk any Battinson speculation? The timeline doesn't make sense now. I gotta tell you, I think you guys are giving James Gunn more credit than you should give anyone, but particularly than you should give James Gunn. I feel that James Gunn, I'm gonna just assume that his intentions are good, but the same thing that makes him answer your tweets is the same thing that makes him answer your tweets maybe incorrectly for the long term. I think that he's going to do whatever works best in the moment, including answer your questions. Do I wish that he was more disciplined and had more self-control? Sure. But then he wouldn't be interacting with you at the level that he is, and I think that's bought him a lot of really, really loyal fans. So far, until we actually have some idea of how this is going, you can't really tell someone what to do and what not to do because maybe it's going to work out brilliantly for him. But I think that, everything that he said about I'm not going to reuse these actors and I'm not going to do X, Y, Z and this is going to be this way, it's all going out the window, and I think he's just going to shrug and be like, things changed. And so I think that you're taking his word too literally. I mean, you're asking him impossible questions that he shouldn't be answering because they're impossible to answer. But yet he wants to give you an answer. He wants to engage with you. So he's giving you an answer. But I feel like there should be an asterisk on every single comment that he makes that he has the right to change his mind. I think maybe he assumes that you will give him that leeway. But so far, no. Let's see here. CM says, odds of Kristen Milioti appearing in the Batman 2. I think very low. Very low. Let's see if they greenlight a Penguin Season 2. Hold on, I'm coming. Let's see here. Boo, 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 boo. Thank you, JNN. Okay. Jose, I'm glad you're excited about Supergirl. I'll be excited to see how Millie Alcock looks in the suit. Are they going for the Michael Turner midriff bearing outfit, the more traditional? And James Gunn's going all in on Superman and Supergirl, the super family, and they've never been particularly popular. So I'm surprised that he's like, yes, Superman shall be my space. And you're like, really? I guess because Matt Reeves had already taken Batman. Jesse, you remember me doing some Injustice play. I appreciate that. It was fun. Mando's music says, is Clayface trying to capitalize on the Substance hype? I didn't even think of that, but I gotta tell you, the Substance is getting some awards noms, but it wasn't a huge box office hit. Clayface would obviously have to perform a lot better than that. Let's see. I would consider it though, if I were making the movie. John Matrix says, how many years till we get Darkseid or Darkseid in the DCU? I don't know. It depends how successful Superman is. I mean, Superman, obviously, that's a big baddie for him, someone good for him to fight. Let's see if James Gunn gets to make Superman 2. Sahib says, hey, Grace, do you think Superman will end with a teaser for Woman of Tomorrow? I bet you she's in the movie, just in some capacity. I mean, Krypto's there. There's lots of superheroes, Supergirls. I mean, James Gunn cast her super early because he needed her, I think, for his movie. So I think she'll show up briefly in the film. I just hope they don't put her in the trailer. Dude, save some stuff for the movie. I mean, it'll leak for sure, but maybe you can keep it from leaking visually. Dolly says, who's directing Supergirl? It's the same, Craig Gillespie, the same guy who did Cruella, which makes me a little nervous, to be honest with you. Chris Christopher says, why have Swamp Thing when you could have Poison Ivy? I know, you're preaching to the choir on that one. I think James Gunn is very male-centric in his approach to these stories. And I think that's not always great for him because he doesn't service the female fans and the LGBTQ fans that do drive a lot of the discussion about this content. He reminds me a little bit of Scott Snyder, very successful comic book writer over at DC, who's also very, I think, male-centric in terms of his POV as a creative. James Gunn, I think, in the way he did. Christopher Nolan is too, by the way, and it's going great for Christopher Nolan. But these are creators who are very male-coded in their POV of their creative work. That's why their female characters are often very secondary and not particularly well developed. But they have very loyal male fans because they're giving those fans what they want. But I'd prefer to have someone who is a little bit more in the middle. I would get very nervous about James Gunn doing Poison Ivy. I'd be nervous about what that origin story and stuff would look like. Wanda's attorney says, is a huge Batman fan. What are some stories you would like to see adapted in the DCU? Well, I'm so glad that he's doing Damian Wayne. I agree with James Gunn on this. That's my favorite Robin. So I would love to see that done someday. I mean, Andy Muschietti says Brave and the Bold is delayed. I would probably wager forever. No way do you want to say from the director of The Flash. Even though, again, I liked The Flash. I just don't think that movie's ever going to happen. Wanda's attorneys would like to see Hush with all the chatter around Superman right now. Well, I personally did not like the Hush storyline very much, but it is nice that it brings in all the Batman characters. So maybe that could be considered. Blick says the Swamp Thing feels like a very late MCU project, and it's weird they're using it as an opening for the DC universe. That's an interesting point. It's a very deep cut, although I think Kevin Feige's cuts are too deep these days. And he has characters that are very popular that are still sitting on the bench, and he's putting other characters to the front of the line, maybe to more satisfy people on social media and commentators than the fans. Let's see here. Let's see. The Guy Tie, I'm a little behind on the comment section, but I'm glad you agree with me. Let's see. Mike, I'm glad that the Penguin didn't kill off Sophia either. I would love to see her. Where I'd like to see Sophia Falcone pop up next is the comics, because then that'll really make the character have been arrived, and it will really keep her around for the long term. I'd love for her to pop up somewhere in Batman comics right now. Joel says, since Lanterns will establish the larger story of the DCU, I believe it will lead to Darkseid and the New Gods. I hope not. I think that's going to be too much. I think all it really needs to do is set up, I would, as someone who covers this stuff, I'd love the Easter eggs, believe me. But from a business standpoint for DC, I think that it would be very important to set up just the Lanterns as a global police force, and set up the planet Oa and stuff like that, and the Guardians. Box of Vol says, why do you think they are focused less on the obvious projects that fans are asking for? I'm not sure why he's doing that. I think James Gunn feels very strongly in his own abilities, and hey, confidence is great. But I think that he's putting forward the projects that interest him. I hope he hasn't assembled an echo chamber around him. I hope that he has people who say, hey, you have no projects for, even Supergirl. You have no projects that are aimed at like the female LGBTQ fans. Like he has no Agatha. He has no Wanda. He's just missing out on a huge chunk. And I continue to feel that he has absolutely like no sex. His projects have no sex appeal. And I think that sells movies. So let's see how the other projects come together, but I think that's a bit of an issue. George, I have not heard anything about Superman early testing on my end. I haven't heard anything good or bad. Is Millie Alcock a fan fave? You guys saw like one season of Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, and you guys were like, oh, we love her. And I'm like, I think she's not great casting, to be honest with you. I gotta tell you, James Gunn does a lot of fan casting, and I think that also something that, to be fair, Zack Snyder did as well, and I think it hurts them both. Mika says, we are going to eat so good with Lanterns. Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart is the best superhero casting since Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I hope it turns out better than that eventually did. But yes, I think Lanterns is put together very well. I would have preferred a little bit better Hal Jordan, but I think he's okay. Hey, KT. Dre, that's right. No Brainiac, but Brainiac's a big part of actually the new season of Harley Quinn, interestingly enough. Mike, thanks for picking up my comic. I really hope that you enjoy it. Brett Crandall says, I'm still pro putting the Authority's Apollo in the Wonder Woman corner of the DC universe. He's got a lot of blank. Oh, that's interesting. Like Apollo and Midnighter, right? That's who you're referring to? That would be a good fit, actually, with Wonder Woman, and maybe would get him more attention. CM says, what are your thoughts on Sophie Thatcher from Heretic and Yellow Jackets as Raven? I love Sophie Thatcher. I'm all for her getting more work. Although Raven now has become a love interest for Damian Wayne, so I think they're going to have to go younger with the character. Also, is it Teen Titans in name only? John says, what if Superman flops? What happens to all these projects? Well, Matt Reeves will be like, I was brilliant to keep my stuff separate. I hope Superman doesn't flop. I think if Superman flops, let's see. My guess would be Gunn goes. And maybe at that point they'll sell Warner Brothers to somebody and they get a whole new division for DC. But that's the thing, like how big of a flop would Superman have to be? And could it possibly be that big a flop? I don't think so. I think it has a decent safety net. But if it comes in under $600 million, then that's just an absolute disaster. But I mean, I would be really surprised if that came in under 600. For those of you like Roman and Callahan pointing out about Cruella, I enjoyed Cruella quite a bit, but I don't think it's cinematic enough. I mean, I wouldn't hire that director to direct my new Supergirl movie. You know, I'd be very nervous about, that's a big space adventure. And I just worry about that person, Craig Gillespie's ability to deliver that. Like, Cruella was a lot of fun, but I think it was a good fit on streaming. And, where's Cruella 2? CM says, Cooper Koch's Nightwing. I actually think the other actor who played the brother, Chavez, would be a better Nightwing. But I love Cooper Koch. I promote him for all kinds of stuff. Elia, I love the Nebula and Gamora relationship, but I want to point out to you that really became well done with the Russo brothers in the Avengers movies. I don't think that was really attributable to Gunn. I don't think Nebula became a great character until Avengers Endgame, and then the Russos really did a wonderful job with her. Let's see here. Yaya says, it feels like side characters and villains are the main focus of the DCU. It didn't work for Sony. Why does Gunn think it will work for him? No DCU Batman, Wonder Woman, or Flash. Gonna Green Lantern show. Maybe he feels Zack Snyder stuck such a strong flag in those characters that he feels like he's gonna go off and do some. But but Superman? Henry Cavill fandom is intense. Why take that on right away? I do think that the choices that Gunn is making in terms of the characters here is odd. Taft Atlas says, I wish that Woman of Tomorrow, the Supergirl movie, had a female director. Not that it inherently has to be, but I just feel like someone else could have nailed the tone better. Well, we don't know. I don't like this idea of I think it's important. I think that matching talent with the lead character was great for opening a lot of doors for people, but I would think we need to go to a point where, I think there should be a mix of voices, but I don't think anyone necessarily needs to be excluded. So I don't know. I gotta see the movie before. I would have to see it. Toe 99. I love that you drew a face on a toe for your picture. I feel James should build the DCEU. Well, now it's just called the DCU, like the MCU, around Batman, just like the MCU did Iron Man. Yeah, I've been saying that since day one. Robert Pattinson's Batman. It's crazy. Monster, I also dislike Hush and the Court of Owls, but it has its fans for some reason. Timothy, Damian Wayne could definitely be around with Robert Pattinson because Robert Pattinson's going to be around 40 by the time the Batman Part 2 comes out. So, and Damien's supposed to be like a genuine child. I don't like Robins who are like almost adult men. Sahib says, Grace, where should a newcomer to DC Comics start? Well, get those guides. You know, like DK Publishing will do a guide to characters. You can get the Batman guide, the Superman guide. And they give you like a little bit of it's like an encyclopedia for the characters. I always say that's a great place to start. Go in there, get the rundown. They'll give you a layout of how everything connects and their big moments in history. Then you want to start working your way through the trades, the really famous trades. And that's a good way, I think, to get yourself into the lore. Hey, Adam. Adam D. Sabato says, Professor Pig, perhaps? I don't like Professor Pig or the Batman Who Laughs. You know, that's tough. These are tough characters. They're very, very gruesome, too, by the way. I believe those are both Grant Morrison. Let's see here. Thank you, Dancing Dog 60, for the memberships. Monster, I think I got your question. Oh, thank you, Toe99. David Kyle, I don't know where Poison Ivy is. I think that her characters are her powers are so fantastic that I think she scares off people how to handle that. Let's see here. Oh, going back here. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I just answered your question there. Aiden says, hey, Grace, glad I could make it. Do you think that the delay of the Batman Part 2, so they can, that with that delay, they can give a bigger role to Penguin and include Sophia since they were fan favorites? I don't know. I think, you know, the rumor continues that it's going to be about Mr. Freeze, and I think it should be largely about Mr. Freeze. You know, Heart of Ice, you know, from the Batman animated series is iconic, and I would love to see that translated to the general audience. Jonathan says Greta Gerwig for Supergirl would have been nice. Yeah, and I think Lobo could be interesting. Niall says, I don't understand why we don't just start with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. We all feel that way. But as I just said, I think that James Gunn feels that Zack Snyder has too much maybe ownership over those characters. Maybe he feels Marvel didn't go with their main characters and it worked out. We'll see if but I mean, again, Superman is first. CM says, Demi Moore as Star Sapphire with Kyle Chandler. Love that idea. I would love it. She'd be a wonderful Star Sapphire. Hey, Blue Shroom. Monster. Lady Gaga doing a Robert Eggers Bride of Frankenstein has nothing to do with DC. But I appreciate your enthusiasm. Let's see here. Blick says, Hush feels too similar to Reeves' Riddler. Yeah, I really liked the take on Riddler. I thought that was interesting. Sana Side Up says, isn't it a bit silly that Zatanna isn't getting a project? The Scarlet Witch, well, she had, remember, Emerald Fennell was going to do a Zatanna film. The Scarlet Witch is incredibly popular still. Why won't they do anything with Scarlet Witch? It's crazy. These very popular female characters are not being utilized. Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn right now, Wanda, Zatanna. You know, like, I guess that's an argument for getting more women into the executive positions over there, you know, or LGBTQ individuals who are like, we need these characters have strong audiences. I would hope maybe the success to a degree of Agatha All Along would further prove that point. I think that was very successful, well, largely because it was so inexpensive, but it was great. Jordan says, Grace, it took Marvel how long to get to LGBTQ? Well, sure it did. But that doesn't mean it needs to take everybody else that long. Sockley says, if Superman is successful, will James Gunn force Pattinson into his DCU? I think he's trying to go more for a carrot than a stick situation, and I think he will hopefully feel that make Matt Reeves feel a little bit better about the DCU, and then he'll agree to folding in Pattinson. Mr. Andrews, I haven't heard anything about a Booster Gold actor. Mr. Andrews says, if Matt Reeves' Batman does end up being Gunn's Batman, when would they make that decision? I bet you they decide after Superman comes out and we see how Superman performs. I think right now, Matt Reeves, when you guys asked what would happen if Superman flops, that made me again realize that Matt Reeves was smart to keep his separate. So I think that, I think right now James Gunn's universe is still too unsure if it's going to be sticking around. Mystic, that's a really interesting comparison to say that Millie Alcock is a lot like Kristen Milioti, popular with Gunn's fan base, not with the LGBTQ plus, and I would say also female fan bases. That's a fascinating comparison. And I would actually say you might be right. Kristen Milioti, I thought it was really interesting and hilarious how much straight guys took to that character. However, she did not blow up on social media because I think the LGBTQ audience and women didn't really take to her too much, which is fascinating. I think ideally you want to have someone that everybody likes. And that's why, Harley Quinn has been a great character in that regard. To Margot Robbie's credit, she did create a character that everybody liked. She did get all those three groups. Drago says, Grace, isn't it strange that Gunn didn't start with a Wonder Woman since she is part of the DC Trinity instead of Supergirl? I think because maybe at the time he wasn't sure what he was going to do about Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot, it'd be very hard to do better casting than her. I don't know why he's going so much with Supergirl. Supergirl is like Superman because of the CW overexposed. I mean, it's very tough. Let's see here. CM says, do you think Muschietti will leave Batman because of creative differences due to the poor Flash reception? Now, I just think the movie never gets made. Remember Rian Johnson was going to make a Star Wars trilogy? Where's that? I think, they just save face by it just never going anywhere. Chris Christopher says, where's Emma Stone? She has a couple of projects coming up this year. I think she knows she's made her big movies. She's gotten her big paychecks. She's got 2 Oscars. I think now she's doing things that interest her. And I think that, that's a choice. But I think, I'm glad that she's looking after her own interests. She's a very nice person, very kind person. I think also it's important people don't want to be overexposed. So she's been taking a bit of a break, just like Margot Robbie is taking a bit of a break after Barbie and stuff like that. And so they wait long enough for you to go, where are they? And then they come back and you're thrilled instead of being like, why won't this person leave? Let's see here. Dancing Dog 60 says, Grace, I'm hoping that Superman is successful because I'd love to see Zatanna and the Atom and Red Tornado. I like Zatanna. Those other ones are also very deep cuts. Box of Wolves says, kind of enjoyed the animated shows of late, Cape Crusader, Creature Commandos, and we're getting Harley Quinn's new season. Also, does the 10 tag mean I've been following you for... Oh, no, I'm not sure what 10 means. Maybe that's your 10th chat or something like that. I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Good question, though. Let's see here. I liked Cape Crusader. I'm not a huge fan of Creature Commandos, as you know, just because tonally. And then I can't talk about the new season of Harley Quinn. But I liked Cape Crusader, even though it didn't do particularly well. AK Channel says, what are the chances we actually even see the Batman 2? I don't think it's too successful, and the Penguin did well with fans. I don't think they're going to get rid of that. Matt Reeves is dealing with a genuine issue, so I think that, it's an unfortunate, tragic situation. Oh, Taft, I just saw your response. Thank you. Ace says, what is your opinion overall of the DCU and its future in Gunn's hands? I think that, as I said in a previous stream, that he is very similar to Zack Snyder. I think that it's going to shift a little bit more male-centric. I think it's probably going to have a similar outcome as the Snyder stuff did. I think that you're going to have a core fan base for the creative talent, in this case James Gunn, that is extremely loyal, that will really hype it up. I don't know what the box office is going to look like, though. I think that it seems not like anything fresh and new. I think it seems like a continuation of what we had before. So I think just like before, some projects will hit, some won't. DC's had a very bad run, though, as of late. Nothing's been hitting. So, that's a little bit scary. Let's see what the Creature Commandos ratings are. We haven't gotten to them yet on Nielsen. That'll be very interesting and very important to see. But, look at this lineup. This is a weak lineup. Creature Commandos, Superman, Peacemaker, Supergirl, Clayface, and the Batman. Well, the Batman Part 2 is exciting, but, that's like what? Let's see here. David says, before all that DC cash is gone, I need to see Ivy. I'd love to see Poison Ivy done right. Toe says, do you think Batman, the Bat family, should be the focus of the DCU instead of all these random heroes? No, I agree with everybody. It should be the core, should be the Justice League, just like the Avengers are the spine of the MCU. And, Batman, the Trinity, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are the core, and everything should spin out of that. I know that Dwayne Johnson wanted to do a big fight movie with the Justice League and the Suicide Squad going after Black Adam. I thought that was a good idea. I've said before, I thought a good palate cleanser would just to have to be a big fight movie. And those of you speaking of Injustice, I thought that would be a great idea, to have it like that game where you just have matchups and just lots of fighting. And I think that would, give a lot of action sequences. Gabe the Canuck says, Grace, I've never touched a comic book ever, and the only thing I'd like to see from DC is a continuation of the Batman, not a new character or story. Yeah, I really liked the Batman. I think I'm excited to see where they go next with that. Marcel says, hey, Grace, I hope you had a great start of the year. Do you think the Teen Titans can compete with the new Young Avengers? I think they're both a bad idea. Again, Marvel doing it first. Oh, you're in Brazil. I'm so happy to see you. Brazil fans, you guys have had a tough time with Twitter getting cut off, but you keep going. Brazil is such an important part of fandom. I think they're both a mistake. I think nobody wants to see tween and teen heroes, and I think that the Titans are overexposed at this point with the HBO Max show. It's just too much, and the animated series. Psycho says, why isn't James Gunn hiring any female directors? I think he hasn't hired enough directors to say anything like that. But he should hire one, so people don't say that. AK Channel TV says, what does Warner Brothers do with DC if Superman underperforms? I think they cancel all this stuff and they go, let's see. And the question is, how badly does it underperform? Let's see. The wheels of Hollywood turn very slowly, unfortunately. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining. Hey, Jamie, Happy New Year to you. Phil, hey, Phil, says I'd put money on Robert Pattinson having a cameo at the end of Superman. Oh, I wouldn't put money on that, but I applaud your confidence. Sensation, I don't think Gal Gadot will ever be back as Wonder Woman. The Great Adventure says, do you think we'll ever get a gay superhero movie? Well, Harley Quinn, the animated series, this is very representative. And some of you pointed out that Peacemaker is apparently a bi character now on that show. So I think you're getting some steps in that direction. I think Wiccan is your best bet. And I'm so happy with the way he was introduced over at Marvel. And I think, hopefully, I'd love to see him sooner rather than later, not on the Young Avengers, but on the regular Avengers team. He was already fighting with Agatha. I think he can do it. He fought death. He fought death and walked away. John says, what are the most DCU-friendly LGBTQ characters that Gunn could use? Oh, that's easy. Harley and Ivy. Very, very easy, Harley and Ivy. Toe99 says, whatever happens to the Reeves Jim Gordon show? Oh, they were going to do an Arkham show. I thought that was a great idea. But I think they're just going to save it for the movies, apparently. Joe, I can't verify if the Superman test screening stories are true. I haven't heard anything about it. That's not to discredit anybody else's story, but I can't confirm or deny it. Oh, Raphael says Captain America 1 is an LGBT movie. That's funny. There was a funny joke about, if you watch the honest trailers for Red 1, they had a very funny joke about the character, the son of the character in that movie for Chris Evans. They had a funny Bucky joke about that. Brian says, do you have any casting ideas for a James Gunn Batman? If he was going to go older, I liked John Hamm. I thought that was a good idea. But I don't understand having a Batman who's so much older than Superman. That to me makes absolutely no sense. Hey, Jordan. Dre Robinson, I agree. Vixen is a great character, particularly after just seeing Kraven. The animal powers were fantastic. Josh loves movies. Do you think that the DCU is taking a major risk turning Clayface and Swamp Thing into horror movies? No, I think that's the way to go. I think that's a good idea, particularly for Clayface. Hey, Tammy, welcome back. Mr. Andrews says, do you think Superman will end up moving? It should to increase the likelihood of success. July is too crowded. Yes, I think Superman has a horrible release date, which actually works against it. It's 1 week after Jurassic World, and then it's just a few weeks before Fantastic Four. I think that's a horrible date, but it's getting too late to move the film. He'd have to move it in the next week or so. I think by the time we hit February 1, he's stuck. Especially because I bet you we have a Superman trailer at the Super Bowl, because that's perfect. But I think it should move. I think it has a horrible spot. David Kyle says Jennifer Coolidge is Harley Quinn. That's funny. Maybe as an older Harley Quinn if they ever do like The Dark Knight Returns. Hey, PSI in Atlantic City. Hey, Gabe the Canuck. Welcome back. Let's see here. Future movie actor says, I would love to see Melissa Barrera as Wonder Woman. I don't know what's going to happen with her politically, how things are going with her in Hollywood. But I do have to say, just from a creative perspective, she would be an excellent Wonder Woman. Let's see here. Devon and Katchak, thank you for the memberships. Let me get through here. I'm almost done, so Solar Knight, thanks for joining. Let's see here. Sahib, I think Victoria Pendretti's not a good Harley Quinn. Polly says, hey Grace, what are your top 3 DC films? Ooh. The Dark Knight. The Batman. I'm a big Batman fan. And Wonder Woman, the first one. Although the third act's pretty awful. That they messed up the Wonder Woman character is really sad. Alberto says, if Reeves can't do Batman 2, what about the Smile 2 director? I don't know if he could do something on that scale. I'd be like Robert Eggers. Beep, 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 Robert Eggers, you want to do Batman? I laugh, but I actually would make that call. Fox Wolf says, last question, what project would you axe from this list and which would you fast track? That's a great question. I would fast track it's not on here, but I would fast track Gotham City Sirens, not by James Gunn. I hope that he would be smart enough to have someone else do that because he would be horrible on Gotham City Sirens. But that is a film that should be made. As for what I would cancel on this list, Clayface. I think Clayface should be in a Batman movie or be a show. I do not think it's a good idea for a movie. Little brother Gabriel, I'm worried to see how James Gunn handles Wonder Woman. I think he's a very bad fit with that. Bobby says, starting the DCU with a cartoon is very silly. Sorry, James Gunn. Yeah, and it was a soft start, too, and no one talks about it except to argue about some of the cameos. I think it was a big mistake. Mr. Andrews says, Gunn must respect Reeves a lot because the Batman delays give Gunn the opportunity to take control of Robert Pattinson's Batman. I don't think it's so much that. I'm sure they're getting along, but I think that the Batman is one of the few things, if not the only thing in the DC world that's working right now. And so he doesn't want to upset the fans or ruin it and be responsible for ruining it. Lucas says, Grace, which of your parents do you share more in common with? I'm right down the middle. I'm 50-50 with my parents in every regard, including features. I look like whatever parent I'm standing next to, which is what I like to say. Let's see here. Future movie actor says, Folie à Deux was mixed, leading down for me. A creative but unfocused misfire. But it should have been better. Oh, it's just a horrible film. A real middle finger to everybody. You know, Mr. Orion says Naomi Scott or Adria Arjona as Wonder Woman. Those are actually great castings. Naomi Scott as Wonder Woman would be wonderful. Pun accidental, but then loved. I would love that. Naomi Scott as Wonder Woman would be fantastic. I thought she was so good and so likable and Smile too. I wanted all the things for her. Let's see here. Blix, 10 memberships again. You're so generous. Thank you so much. Deshaun says, I've heard the budget is insane for the Superman movie. What are the most reputable sources for keeping up with tea on production budgets? The trades are your best bet for production budgets. I'd be surprised if the budget was that big for Superman. Let's see. Hey, Shirley, Carter's cat. And CM says, Sam Reed is Apollo and Jonathan Bailey is Midnighter. I don't know about Jonathan Bailey as Midnighter, but Sam Reed as Apollo is fantastic. Sam Reed also is another up-and-coming talent that I just want all good things for. Mike C. says, what advice would you give to poor Ariana DeBose? Yeah, she was in Craven. I don't know, maybe take a break? Maybe go to Broadway? I mean, her career just has not been going well. Lexi, no question, just wanted to thank you for streaming on my birthday. My pleasure, Lexi. Happy birthday. George, I've been saying Mikey Madison for Harley Quinn. I think that's a fantastic choice. Future movie actor says Superman is either going to be an outlier to say the least. Man of Steel was okay as a unique take, and this it looks like it's going back to the basics. But it's not really a Superman movie, so to speak. You know, it has so much other stuff in it, which I think is somewhat of an issue. Roll the Bryce says, what do you think of Samara Weaving as Black Canary? She's well cast, but I think that's, I don't know if she has the muscle mass to play that character. And I don't know about Samara Weaving's career. It hasn't really, I think she's kind of faded away. Quinn says, hi Grace, I'm in my second semester of nursing school. I listen to you while I study and I just passed my midterm. So I want to thank you for helping me. My pleasure. I'm so happy that I was able to be helpful to you. And I'm so glad that you're studying something that's so important. I mean, you're going to be doing such meaningful work. Chris said he would see Robert Eggers' The Batman 1,000,000 times to make it worth it. I think, Nosferatu has so much buzz and people are so intrigued by it. I'm like, there's your guy. And he was able to make it for so little money. Blair Wraith says, I think the way they should set up the Clayface movie is a setup of how they did The Thing or The Usual Suspects and make us guess who Clayface is. Oh, well, I have mixed feelings on that because then I wouldn't get to see Clayface do any of his changes. And then, is that really a DC movie? But, I got to say, Blair, that's a pretty good pitch. Maybe for a show or something. Maybe where Clayface isn't the lead. But that's a pretty clever idea. Alex Day says, I think starting with Superman in his world is perfect. It sets him up as the main man. But he's not the main man, it seems, even in his own movie. Cap wasn't the guy until they made him so. But Cap didn't come first, though, Superman is definitely Marvel's Captain America, and he's very popular. The Chris Evans version of the character. And I think Superman, for sure, is competing with that. And so let's see if it's going to be hard to do. Mr. Real Shane says, which comics do you read? I love the DC's Absolute Universe and Ultimate Spider-Man. I don't read Ultimate Spider-Man, but I do read the Absolute comics, and I think they're actually pretty good. Maybe I'll go back to posting on social media my purchases, my comic book purchases every week. CM, Naomi Scott as Zatanna would also be excellent casting. Let's see here. Jonathan Bailey for Nightwing, Dolly Parton. That's an interesting idea. And Brett says, we'd be doing a Catwoman series since she was loved by fans, would hold people over until the Batman 2. Yeah, I really would like to see, just like the Penguin, I would love to see a HBO miniseries for every single member of the Rogues Gallery. I think this is such a great idea. Jonathan says, what about Margaret Qualley from The Substance for Poison Ivy? She'd be an interesting choice. I like Margaret Qualley a lot. I don't think she has the regal aspect of Poison Ivy, but, I'd certainly be interested in it. George says John Chu would be a great Wonder Woman director. Maybe he would. That's not a bad idea. But he's very busy right now with Wicked 2. Oh, Chris says he would see Gotham City Sirens a million times. I think a lot of us would. Lucas says, should they make some down-to-earth superheroes like some low-budget ones? I don't know. I think people go to the movies for spectacle. Stebity says, I just got into the stream, and to my surprise, I have a membership. Welcome to the party, Stebity. And Box of Wolves says, thanks for answering my questions, and thanks for always giving the hard truths. It's my pleasure. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Resident Justice says, if Lanterns is huge, could DC immediately, long-term future, be highlighting streaming shows? I wouldn't want to see what happened to DC, what happened to Star Wars. Like, where are the Star Wars movies? Friendly Persuasion, I don't think Glenn Powell would be a good Batman. You guys are going for people who have lighter coloring. Batman has darker coloring. Let's see here. Mike says, Iron Man is not even a great movie, yet it was the start of the MCU. Oh, Mike, I think people loved Iron Man, and I have a lot of non-comic book friends who loved Iron Man. And that's really, do not underestimate the importance of that appeal. Oh, that's so great. Charlie's, it looks like you are a member again. EST Comics says, I'd watch a Poison Ivy solo movie like the comic. I think that comic's medium right now. I stopped reading it, actually, but I really like Poison Ivy. I'm a big Poison Ivy fan. David Kyle says, I'd like to nominate Kaylee Cuoco as Killer Frost. I would love it if the Harley Quinn animated series did one episode in live action with Kaylee Cuoco and Lake Bell, because they're actually both extremely well cast as their characters. Hey, Doom Von Doom. Welcome back. Happy New Year to you, too, in South Africa, Loyoso. All right, it's 2:55. Let me do shout-outs. Let's do shout-outs so I can say hi to people. Oh, Liam, congrats on your engagement. Oh, that's very exciting. All right, iHeart Movies is in Ohio. Hey, Greg Lazaro. Stebity says Robert Pattinson has lighter coloring. Well, I guess, that's true. Touche, Stebity, touche. But he has like that tortured goth look to him. Let's see here. Sahib is in Bakersfield. Hey, Nova Star. Welcome back. Aided Buffalo is eating a big bean burrito in London. I love it. I was just in London. Nathan just finished lunch, watching you on my counter. Grad party tomorrow. Greetings from Houston, Texas. Oh, congrats. Gabe the Canuck is in Montreal, naturally, about to cook a nice steak for lunch. And Tillman is in the office in Norfolk, Virginia. Back today for work. They made you come in on a Friday. Lucas has just ate 3 chicken wings in Fort Myers Beach, Florida. It's a very Florida thing to do. I love it. CM says hello from sunny Dallas, while Taft Atlas is in a very snowy Michigan, hoping you bring back your comic book stacks. Yeah, I will start publishing those. Hey, Matt Cat in Michigan, as always. Resident Justice has just got home from my Christmas, New Year's Eve vacation from Las Vegas. That must have been fun. Ready to take it easy the next few days before going back to work on Monday. I hope you had a wonderful vacation. Look at Skores in Eidsvoll, Norway. I love that. Asensio Cruz is in Fresno, California. Lisa is on vacation in Wisconsin and loving it. I love how you take care of yourself, Lisa. Linda is in Charleston getting ready to have a new garbage disposal installed. Ooh, new appliance. Mr. Andrews is in Barcelona, happy to start the weekend. Traveled in November and December and have so many movies and shows to catch up on. Oh, that'll be fun. January and February is months to do it. Ooh, look, formerly Fall 2 is headed to Pittsburgh. Going to the Steelers game tomorrow? Oh, go Steelers. I'm going to be watching. Oh, you're going to have such a good time. Have a great time. Oh, look, the Chosen Loner got a membership. That's fantastic. Hey, Ben 10 in France. Let's see here. Nova Star says, this week is my birthday. I've been following you since 2008. This is my year with the Fantastic Four and my favorite superhero, Invisible Woman. I see how you got her as your avatar, Nova Star. Thanks for being my pal for so long, and we will definitely be talking about that movie a lot. Hey, Usman in England, in Manchester. And Sean Breslin is in Brooklyn watching me from the car. Oh, I love that you're in a car in Brooklyn. Ricardo Sanchez is looking forward to another year of content. Hey to you and Ricardo, you and Brian in Edinburgh. I always love hearing from both of you. Let's see here. Future movie actress has got a few hours left in the office in Massachusetts, trying to watch the new Wallace and Gromit movie on Netflix this weekend. Oh, you're going to love it. It's really charming. I'm glad you're parked, Sean. Thank you for clarifying on that. Omar is walking around in Montreal about to go to a work event. I'm glad we could keep you company so you could be fashionably late. Let's see here. Mike Jones is working from home and listening to the stream, also trying to decide on dinner. Ooh, interesting. It's Friday. You have some fun. Let's see here. Brent says, while eating lunch, my husband Coda just wanted to say he may not be a member, but he loves the show. Oh, and thank you to your husband Coda. Thank you, Brent and Coda. That's very kind of you to say. Mystic is prepping for their own finals in 2 weeks. Dan says, do you think we're getting a Fantastic Four trailer for the Super Bowl? I wouldn't be surprised. I think they're going to follow that Deadpool and Wolverine playbook down to the page. And they had a Super Bowl trailer. Oh, thank you, CM. That's very sweet of you to say. Sensation is having some ramen noodles in chilly Southern California. Oh, it's cold there, really. Benjamin can't stop watching Wicked. I know the feeling. Lucas is all ready for Severance Season 2. That's awesome. It has been too long. And future movie actor says, might have a date this weekend. We'll find out either way. Oh, I hope you do. But either way is good. You do you. David Q says, in Texas, working, but making reservations for my birthday and a friend's too tomorrow. Double celebration. Oh, that'll be great. Kevin got married today. Wow, Kevin, congratulations. Thanks for popping by the stream to tell everybody the good news. That is fantastic. I love it. Oh, congratulations. And then Loyoso says it's almost 10 p.m. in South Africa, but we know we got to watch Grace do the thing. Thanks, Loyoso. Thank you so much. That's very nice. Look at all the congratulations for Kevin. That's great, Kevin. That's so sweet. It makes me feel so nice you wanted to come over and say hi to everybody on your big day. That's awesome. Well, I can't think of a better way to end the stream, so thank you so much. There will be maybe a live stream this weekend. I'll tell you more about it on Sunday. But Movie Math on Sunday for sure. And then a whole new week of fresh content. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. See you on Sunday. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.